Welcome back to the Aro Benaiah Show. Today I'm joined by AJ Tyler, seasoned business executive, CPA, attorney, turnaround expert, restorer, and now a bestseller author. His journey cut across business, law, and storytelling. I am excited to dive into how his experience have shaped the mystery he writes and the wisdom he shares. Once again, it's really a pleasure having you on the show.
Aro, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. It's an interesting question and one that people ask a lot, which is how much of your life and what you did professionally goes into what you write? And the answer is every idea, every book, the one I finished and the ones I'm working on, are all based to some degree on my experiences as a CPA, as an attorney, or as a consultant. And then I take that, and because I'm a fan of thrillers and murder mysteries, I then add a little murder, a little intrigue, a little love, a little sex, a little betrayal to make it interesting to anyone reading it.
What was it like growing up for you?
Well, I had a father who was a CPA. I have an older brother who's a doctor, and my father said, one of the two of you is going to be a CPA. When my brother decided at an early age that he was going to be a doctor, my fate in life was set. But I always dreamed of writing. I read Dalton Trumbo's book, Johnny Got His Gun, when I was 16, and I fell in love with the power of words and how you could take the simplest words and just by the way you say them and the intonation and the context, you can make a whole story and capture someone's attention. When you read a great novel, you can travel anywhere in the world. You can experience great things. So I had a very supportive father, but he said, you're going to be a CPA. And so until a few years ago, I was a CPA, I was a lawyer, I was a consultant, and loved my clients, liked the interesting parts of what I did, the more mundane things like filling out tax forms, not as much. But everything that I did was sort of leading me to where I'm at right now because life's a journey and it takes you where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Yeah. So you have actually worn many hats across different period in time in your life. What was this earlier job you took on, and how did they actually shape your work ethic? And what did they teach you about work?
Well, throughout my life, I was always, I like to tell people I had the CPA role and I took over the firm. I went to law school, got a master's of law degree, but the part of the job I loved and that I lived up until a few years ago was being an advisor to my clients, being a friend to my clients, and learning not just about their businesses, but about their families and their lives and how I could change people's lives in a meaningful way. If I could give them financial freedom, if I could save them taxes, if I could negotiate a deal for them to acquire a company. So even though I wore a lot of different hats, it was really always the same hat, which was advisor, consultant, friend.
Wow, wow, wow. Amazing. And you have acquired 80 companies in just 18 months. And that is massive. What did that season of intense deal making teach you about people and decision making?
Well, I tell everyone the same thing. And that is that the way that you become a good deal maker is not just by making the offer and negotiating. It's listening to what people say and what they want and trying figuring out a way to do that to give them what they want without giving them more than you want to give them. So you walk a fine line. When I was doing those deals on behalf of the public company that I was working for, I would get up in the morning, I'd go to multiple meetings in a day, I'd walk out of those meetings and say, okay, this one's a possible deal, this one isn't, and then it was, okay, I'm going to make notes about what people said to me, because the first question I would ask every target candidate was, what is it you want to get out of this? I know you want money or you want public company stock, but what emotionally, intellectually do you want to get out of it? And from that, I learned how to read people, which is integral to everything you write because character definition is everything.
Wow, wow, amazing. And were there moments in the fast-paced corporate world where you felt like you had to completely reinvent yourself?
I think that we all go through periods where we reinvent ourselves. I will tell you that I went from owning my own firm, which I sold to the public company. Now I had to reinvent myself. And no longer was I the guy in charge. I was in charge of 250 people, and then I sold the firm. Now I'm working in a company with 5,000 people, and I'm helping run a division with 2,500, but it's part of a much bigger entity, a much bigger thing. And so now you have to learn, instead of being the guy leading the team, the quarterback or the head coach, you're now the offensive coordinator, or you're the offensive lineman. You're the guy who's pushing and pulling to get you where you want to be, but it isn't necessarily your final decision. And learning how to be that team player for many people is difficult. Me, I like teams, so it was okay. I like doing that.
Wow, this is really amazing. I think from even your answers, the energy you put into talking it just speaks volumes to the fact that, yeah, you really love team and you love what you do. And how do you sustain this energy across the various things you do and leading a whole lot of team? Was there no moment where you were discouraged and feel like giving it up?
Well, it took me a long time to finish the first novel, Death in Short. Probably, I mean, from when I started till I actually published was probably 5.5 years. And I had written probably 15 or 16 chapters of what is now a 74 chapter, 384 page book. And I'd get stuck and I'd say, you know what? I can't do this. I don't know how guys like Baldacci and Grisham and Isles and Silva get up every day and write and stay inspired. And I had friends that I would talk to about the book, and they'd read a chapter and say, wow, this is really good. You have to keep going. But there were plenty of times when I did get to that, I guess, brick wall, if you will, and I had to climb over it. Even now that this one's done and I'm getting a lot of people telling me how good it is, I'm working on the second book in this series and a third book, and I get stuck. And when I do, the difference is now I know I can finish it. So I take a break. I go have a drink or something to eat. I take a walk out in the Florida sunshine, whatever I need to do to clear my head. And then I jump back in.
Wow, this is really amazing. It's the fact that you're able to find strategy to manage those periods where it seems those ideas are not coming very well, then you get strengthened and come back to it again, which really is a big strategy when it comes to doing what you need to do. Because sometimes a whole lot of entrepreneurs think once the going become demanding and there is no way out, giving up should be the best way. But just seeing the fact that you find a strategy around it just speak volumes to the fact that, yeah, you might get tired, but rest and come back
Well,
at it again.
it's funny because giving up is never an option. I am someone who likes to keep going to the end to see how it's going to finish. And I will tell you that the thing that keeps me going right now is when I meet someone who's read the book, and the first thing they say to me is, oh my God, it was so good, I couldn't put it down. And I would joke with them, well, that's because we put glue on the cover, so you can't put it down. But then they would say, I was at a networking event a couple weeks ago, and someone said to me, when's the next book coming out? And I said, I'm working on it. My goal is by the end of the year. And somebody overheard, they said, what book? And the woman who had asked me the question said, oh, Death in Short. And she pulled up a picture of the book, the cover of the book she had on her phone. And she said, oh my God, I've heard so many people in this group talking about this. I have to get a copy. Well, here, let me give you my phone. Here's the link. You can go online and order it. It's not, selling the book is fulfilling. It's the feedback you get from people.
Yeah.
And I know from life experiences, no matter how challenging things are, when we take the word problem out of our vocabulary and replace it with the word challenge, we create opportunities, and those opportunities can be wildly amazing and the last thing you think would ever happen to you.
Wow, this is
And
really amazing.
And that's why I quit.
Wow, this is really amazing. It just speaks volumes to, yeah, keep going. Even when the tough days, the better days and everything,
Yep.
just keep going. Because you wouldn't know what possibility lies ahead with that particular work you're actually working on. And it only gets better once it keeps showing up every now and then. So what eventually pulled you towards turnaround consulting, especially in the restaurants industry?
I think it was, as I said, when I started, I was an avid reader as a child, and I read everything, biographies, business, history. I love history. I have a friend who's a writer who lives on the west coast of Florida. His name's Pedro Zaragoza, and he writes a lot of historical fiction, which I love. But I can't write that because it takes so much research and so much in
Yeah.
depth. When you're writing a novel, especially mysteries and thrillers, a lot of it, I mean, there's some research you have to do. You have to understand the drugs you're using to kill somebody or mechanism for how they uncover the financial fraud. But that notwithstanding, you get to use your imagination. If it was me and I would do this, I said to a friend the other day when they asked me why I love doing this so much, and I get up every morning, love what I do. I said, I think because each and every one of us in our life, we try and be the best version of ourselves we can be. But there's a little bit of us that wants to be bad. And I can put this on paper in a book. And when I do that, I get to kill somebody who makes me really annoyed, but they get to live and I don't have to worry about the consequences other than not selling books. So it's totally different.
Amazing. Another different way of looking at it. Yeah, thanks for sharing that particular experience. So, how do you think those years of negotiation and reading people influence the way you now create characters in your trailers?
I think that it does a few things. One is those years helped me to refine my thought process and how I can mold a story. I have friends that have said, for as long as they have known me, you're a storyteller, and I am. But
Mm.
now I have to tell the story in a very distinct and linear way, even though I might have three lines running at the same time. One person's doing this, one person's doing this, one person's doing that. But I have to think ahead to how do I get those lines to merge somewhere in the book near the end or halfway through when the parties cross and things start happening. Those years of critical thinking and outside the box thinking on behalf of my clients has allowed me to do that. It's actually built that skill set for me, which I love.
Wow, wow, amazing. Keep showing up at it is the fact that you learn the skills owing to your consistency in actually more like doing it every now and then, and which later now sharpens your perception in doing better job with what you do now, and it's really
Absolutely.
really amazing. So many of my listeners are trade people and entrepreneurs. From your experience, what common mistake do you see younger professional make when starting out?
Well, let's see. I think in the accounting and law side, the most common mistake I see people making is they believe that that's where they're going to be the rest of their lives. There are people that I went to law school with who only wanted to be lawyers, only wanted to, whether it was be a prosecutor, be a defense attorney, a tax lawyer, a business lawyer, whatever. And they're still practicing today, many years later. There are accountants I knew along the way who only ever wanted to be an accountant. And they didn't see outside of that. I like to tell people, look outside the box, look bigger. I have a friend just went through a divorce, is a school teacher, is moving to a new area, doesn't necessarily loves teaching school, but wants to make more money. So what do? I said, instead of saying I'm going to be a school teacher, let's do a skills assessment. What are the skills a school teacher has that you can translate to other industries where the compensation is higher, where the work environment is different? And whether it's a school teacher, an accountant, a lawyer, whatever, the most common mistake that people make is, this is my destiny and it can't change. I have three grown sons. My oldest son studied economics and philosophy in college. So both of those things don't really prepare you for a career. Yet he has a very successful career in real estate development in an area that he loves working in. I have another one that wanted to be an investment banker and is now the COO of a company and running this great growing company and loves every minute of what he does. But if he stuck to what he studied and he stuck to what he thought he wanted to do, right now he'd be in a job that he doesn't love as much. And if you love what you do, every day you get up and you don't think about working, you think about how I can change the world.
Wow, this is really amazing because we are in a changing world now and a whole lot of things are coming into being. And the relationship between what you're studying and what it now comes to do is now become different now. The fact that the story you even just the example you gave owing to your son and your children just speak volume to this particular thing. So for the upcoming entrepreneurs, those who are just, whether they are in school or anything, what would be your advice to them? What should be the balance between what they are studying and what they should be looking forward to in terms of, in a way, so that they won't get disappointed, but still they're actually more like working towards making themselves suitable for that particular roles they are looking forward to outside, not necessarily what they study.
Well, I'm going to tell you there's a few things. One is understand finance, understand marketing. I would tell anybody I know now who has kids going to college, learn a foreign language. It's a global economy. And if you think it's not, and you're going to stay within your little box, that would narrow your skill set. Secondly, learn to think outside the box. Do things that create critical thinking skills, because anybody can come up with an idea for the next great app on your phone, but it's not just coming up with the idea for the app. It's learning how to pull the pieces together, the developer, the marketer, and all of that. Learn leadership, study historical leadership, and learn what your leadership style is, because everyone's is different. I mean, we all have different styles that we operate under. And lastly, don't be constrained into thinking, okay, I can only do this because that's what my program of study is. Go outside of it. I mean, if you're studying marketing, you know what? Take a class in computer programming. You may hate it. You may find out, oh my God, I just came up with the next great idea for an app or for a website or whatever. I didn't know how to build a website. I started writing. I had a friend who was going to build it for me and they were struggling. I said, forget it. I taught myself how to do it, and I built my website and upgraded it. So,
wow, this is really, really lovely. And the fact that your advice here is very, very key. You make reference of learn finance, learn marketing, learn a new language, being that it cut across border, not just limited to the
yep.
place where you are currently are alone. And you make reference of learn to think outside the box, which is very key. Learn leadership and know your kind of leadership style. And don't just think about your course alone. Don't just think within your course alone. Think of different things you could actually work on to gain different experience. Even if you get bad at it, it might actually more like spur new knowledge of what you could do differently, or a particular place where you might be very, very good. And I think in this day and age at time where things are changing, AI is coming into being, I think this advice really speak volume, because almost every establishment need leaders, and you can't do without finance, and you have to market your place there out there every now and then once you get a new set of skills. Yeah, this is really profound. Thank you very much, IJ.
And I'm going to tell you, the most important skill that you can have is believing in your abilities and yourself.
Mm.
And that one single person can change the whole world if they act in the right way. So we should all be looking to change the world. The one comment I would make is it can be a very complicated place right now, and a lot of antagonism, whether you're left or right or green, blue or red. I don't care. If we treat each other with kindness, if we help each other, if we see someone struggling and we reach down to lift them up, we raise ourselves up so much more. And you never know who you're going to touch. That may be the guy that's going to give you the opportunity to do something amazing. Because everyone you meet has a story, and that story may dovetail with yours.
Yeah, so key, so key. Believe in yourself. I think when you just say believe in yourself, what I just think was Steve Jobs that just came to mind. More like is most of this particular quote where he says think differently, the round pole in the round peg, and the fact that he was able to think outside the box where they think there was no possibility. He was able to believe in himself of what is achievable, even when others thought is not. And I think it's very, very critical that we actually more like start thinking out. That's different side this particular day and age at time where things are fast changing, and this is really, really amazing. So you transition from business to writing trailers. What inspired you that?
This is going to sound odd, but what really inspired me to kickstart what I wanted to do for the last phase of my life, which is right, was in the last few years, I lost both my father and my mother, who were unbelievably supportive of anything that I ever did or said. If I wanted to do something, other than, like I said, my dad wanted me to be an accountant. And after my mom passed last year, I decided that the book that I had now 50-some chapters done in, I had to finish it and get it published. If for no one else but myself, my mother was the one that inspired me to read. She read avidly. My dad was a reader, but my mother would read a book a week when I was a little kid. And she would speed read through the books, and she had a style that she liked to, a type of book, a genre she loved. It wasn't my genre, but she introduced me to bookstores and the value of reading. And so my inspiration when I get up and I write is I want to make my kids proud. I want to make my late wife proud. I want to make my parents who are gone but are looking down on me proud. And I want to do things that entertain people. I want people to have a great time, read the book and go, wow, that was really thought provoking. I wonder what's going to happen in the next one, and the one after that, and the one after that.
Wow, amazing. I think surrounded with your dad and mom, it just speak volume to how you came to love what you do, and the fact that you saw her reading every now and then, you
Yep.
saw dad reading every now and then, and the fact that their energy when it comes to reading, they were doing it this like so much that it rubbing out of you was it comes easier owing to you were able to see every one of them and all around, which really speak volume to parenting and having them around. And I must say thank you very much for dropping that within. Did you ever feel resistance in yourself when you were moving from structured career into law and business in the creative world of fiction?
Interesting question. I have to think about that one. The think that, I get asked a lot, did you find it hard to move into where you are? I answer it with, it actually wasn't hard because this was where I was always meant to be. I really do believe the universe has a plan for everyone. My journey was taking me here. When I leave, when we get off and I go to grab a bite to eat and I sit down somewhere, I'll start talking about my book. And by the time I'm done, someone will say, where can I buy it? And I'll say, here's the link on Amazon. Here's my phone number. Here's my email. Message me and tell me what you think. And invariably, within a couple weeks, if they sit down and actually start to read, they'll go, wow, I read your book. It was really good. And, how many other books have you written? I wrote one chapter in a book before this, which was a bestseller. It was the story of my grandfather's journey to the United States. He was orphaned at 9. At 12, he stowed away on a boat, wound up in the United States in 1911, and started a family. That, if anything, inspires me to achieve. I never met the man. He passed away a year before I was born. But it's that story, because my father would regale me with stories of my grandfather, who worked until 2 weeks before he passed away and was constantly instilling in all of us, that in his family, work ethic, integrity, and do things the right way. So
Wow, work ethic, integrity, and do things the right way. Wow, it's the fact that you don't just have parents, you have tribe of mentors. Looking at them, it enough to get inspired. Just looking at them, like, wow, if my grandfather could do this, and my dad could do this, that
yeah,
is already enough footprint for you to say, wow, I need to do more. And
yeah.
it's really amazing that each and every one of them again to influence you all across, even when it comes to your book and the plot and everything. Your book pulled from your personal experience, your personal and professional experience. Can you give us an example of a real life situation that later become inspiration for a plot or character?
Okay, so in the next book, I can give you a glimpse into the next one. Well, actually, the first book is a murder mystery about people who are being killed for insurance money. And the insurance policies have been sold to a company, and someone in the company is committing the murders. That product is called a viatical. Where that came from was I had a client about 25 years ago or so, 20 years ago, that asked me to research that very product, which is the idea of selling your insurance policy for the discounted present value of the death benefit. So that became the foundation for Death Insured, my first book. My second book, which is called Debt Discharge, the story of it's the foundation for that is a business deal I was involved in. And myself and my partners, when I was doing consulting in the early 2000s, and the woman lied about her background and about the company. We uncovered it. All I did to make it more palatable as I'm writing that book is I added some murder, I added some betrayal, but the foundational story is real. And what happened was we were able, when we uncovered the fraud, to go back and protect our money and get it back out of the company. But it was a process to do that. And that's part of, part of our life learning experience.
Wow, amazing. I'm more eager to read this particular book and see those storylines, hear them again, just reading through the line. And this
Yep.
is really, really, really amazing. So when you write about murder, mystery, and plot twist, what keep you excited and motivated to create?
I think what keeps me the most excited is trying to come up with new ways to interweave the characters. You know, I have in book one, the characters meet early on. The murderer, or the murderers, plural, meet the investigators. They just don't know they're murderers and investigate. They didn't even know it was a murder. In book two, the murder happens very early, and it's purely by accident that our hero from the first book, Alan Miller, winds up back back chasing another murderer. And as it turns out, it may be somebody, I can't give everything away. It may be somebody from the first book, it may not. But it's that figuring out the human interaction part, and when I introduce people and how I introduce them, and what the heroes, the antagonists and the protagonists, how they how they
Oh, sorry.
interrelate. Sorry about that. How they interrelate within the book. And that gets me excited, because when I get up in the morning and I say, okay, I got to write 2 chapters today, it's like, okay, where did I leave off? Oh, okay, I got to figure out where Alan Miller runs into X, Y, and Z.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing. So you have experienced law, numbers, and people, and now storytelling. Do you see a common thread connecting all of this?
Yeah. You know what? No. I like to say that take a bunch of disjointed things. I mean, there are lots of lawyers that write novels, murder mysteries, and other types of novels. They write psychological thrillers. And when you practice law, or a lot of times the good lawyers don't just read the case law and get the facts. They try and understand the mental piece that's going on behind their clients, so, what they're dealing with. So for me, it's always been that. I mean, I probably have forgotten more law and more tax law and more accounting than I will ever remember. But I'll say something to someone, or I'll be having a conversation at a cocktail party or at a networking event, and it'll go, oh, wait a minute. It just struck a thought in my head. I can put that in the book, and this is how I'm going to use it. So you never lose that. I mean, the one thing I say to people, until you go out of your mind, you never lose your brain power. And you always have the ability to think. And as long as you do that, you can create.
Amazing. So what does happiness and fulfillment look like for you now compared to when you were deep in corporate and construction world?
Well, I tell everybody that happiness is a choice you make. So we start with that. Things don't make you happy, or people don't make you happy. They make you happier. Happiness is, this weekend, my son got married. Happiness was watching my son, my youngest one, walk down the aisle, to see my other 2 sons, to see my 2 granddaughters, to spend time with family and friends. Simple things, not things like, oh my God, I have to go drink a $500 bottle of wine or eat a $300 steak. Yeah, I'm happy to do that too. But what I really want is, I want those moments. I want those memories, because when you're sitting on the couch when you're older and you can't do anything but go through photo albums or watch movies, you get to think about those great moments. So happiness for me is getting up every day, knowing my children and their children are doing well, knowing that my friends are happy and successful, and knowing that I get to sit in front of a computer or in front of a pad of paper and start writing and creating. And if I can do that every day until my time is up, I will be happy until I go.
Amazing. Thank you, AJ. So for trade people or entrepreneurs who might want to pivot into something entirely new later in life, what will you tell them about courage and timing?
I think that the universe tells you when the timing is right. People are impatient when they want something, and I get that. I'm no different. I mean, when I'm writing, I want to get this done. I want to get this done. But I also know it's going to be done when it's supposed to be done. With regard to courage, honestly, courage is about finding that thing in you that keeps you going forward when you feel like there isn't any way to move forward. It's finding that thing in you that says, I know I can do this. And yeah, failure's an option, but so what? We only learn if we succeed the first time we do something. We never know if we were lucky or good. If we fail and we take a lesson from it, then we've accomplished something. One of my favorite sayings was by Muhammad Ali, the great boxer, who said, when you lose, don't lose the lesson. And I like
Mhm.
thinking that way because courage then comes from those experiences.
Wow. When you lose, don't lose the lessons. I think
Yep.
this really speaks volumes to every entrepreneurs. If you have failures owing to the cost of doing a business, doing a deal, don't ever lose the lessons because that
Yep.
lessons will guide you to make a better deal in time to come. And this is really, really amazing. So where do you see yourself growing as a writer and storytelling in the next few years?
Well, I've got three books in process, the second and third in this series, another book in a different genre. Everybody that reads Death Insured says, oh my God, this should be a movie, which is fine. If somebody wants to make it a no movie, I'm happy to talk about it. I've had a few conversations, but nothing that's gone anywhere. And it's a process, and I understand that. My goal is after getting the next three books out, which I will do in the next 9 to 12 months, I'd like to produce a book a year, either a mystery thriller or maybe it'll be a different genre. The genre that I'm writing the other book in that's not mystery thriller is about a guy trying to understand where life is taking him. He's had a lot of setbacks, but he's also had a lot of successes. But he doesn't love his life. He's not happy, eternally happy. So it's a little bit autobiographical, but not really. It's told through his dating life. It's told through his work life. It's told through his family life and his experiences. It's very tongue-in-cheek, so it's meant to be humorous. But what it really is somebody examining what life is meant to be and understanding there's a path for all of us. We just have to accept that the path may not be the one we thought we were going to be on.
Wow, wow, wow. There's paths for all of us. It might not just be the path that we actually want. And this episode has really been amazing. Is the fact that your energy is more like in explaining what you explain and you're more like looking at the future, what you're looking forward to do. I think that just left me inspired that wow, if IG could be actually be thinking about this whole lot of possibility of what to come, I'm like, wow, I need to start thinking of a whole lot of things I'm rolling in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And this is really, really amazing. Just hearing from you, sharing your stories and what you're looking forward to. And I must say a very big thank you for that.
Well, I'll say one other thing. I tell anybody who I meet, never stop dreaming because when you dream, you have to wake up. And there's no
Yeah.
reason to wake up if you can achieve something by dreaming it. I love telling people if man can conceive it, man can achieve it. Think about all the great things that have been discovered in our lifetime. But there was a period of time I owned a restaurant, and my restaurant was rented out one night by a family that was throwing a party for the grandmother who was 105 years old. So it was her 105th birthday. And I wasn't going to work that day, but I went to the restaurant and I went and got a drink with the birthday girl, and we talked about it. And this is back in 2007, 2008. So during her lifetime, they discovered flight, refrigeration, white bread, went to space, went to the moon, developed the cell phone, developed the fax machine, developed the computer. She went through World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, hundreds of other conflicts that she lived through. I said to somebody said to me, why are you going there? Your staff will take care of it. They'll do a good job and they'll have a great time. I said, I'll tell you why. Because I couldn't pay enough money to get access to that kind of resource. And what she said to me when I left was, she said, this was really nice. And I hope you're still going to be here and this restaurant will still be here when we do my 110th birthday. And I'm thinking that is the definition of optimism. And if you go in optimistic every day to what's in front of you, there's no stopping what you can achieve. None at all.
Wow, wow, amazing, amazing. Because once you get optimistic about possibility in the future, live it keep you lively and it keep you flowing with a whole lot of ideas of what you could do differently towards achieving the desired goals and everything.
Yep.
And this is really amazing way of looking at
Yep.
it. And finally,
Thank you.
Ajit, what is one piece of advice you want to leave my audience about using life experience, both good and tough, as fuel for growth?
I tell everybody a few things. I spend a lot of time giving advice to people. I don't know why they feel like I can do that, but I'm happy to give it to them. So one saying that I use every day, there's a reason the rearview mirror is small and the windshield is large. Everything is in front of you. It doesn't mean forget what happened to you. And how people treat you is a reflection of them. How you respond is the reflection of you. So when you have a bad life experience, whether it's with a person, it's with a company, it's something that happened, even with your children, learn from it. Take something out of it. Make something positive out of it. Don't just walk away angry, sad, disappointed, or whatever the term is that you want to do. Say, you know what? I want this to be the best learning experience I ever had, and that's today. And tomorrow, there'll be another one. And the day after that, another, and then another, and then another. So, whatever happens to you, take a step back, understand or try and understand why someone did what they did, and then also try and understand what's the lesson the universe is telling you that made you go through this.
Amazing. Thank you for that particular advice. It's the fact that you make reference of the rear mirror is more smaller compared to the front mirror, owing to the fact that it's just to take glimpse of what is behind and actually more like focus on what's really ahead. What you need
Yep.
to do is just and this is
The-
really amazing way of looking at it.
The
Yeah,
world's in
thank you.
front. The world's in front of you. You just have to let it unfold and be prepared to respond. Don't react. Reaction's emotional. Response is reasoned and rational.
Wow, amazing. So, AJ, how can my audience reach out to you? How can they learn more about you? And what platform can they get your books and your resources?
So people that want to know more, I have a Facebook page, AJ Tyler Author, an Instagram page, AJ Tyler Author, but you can go to my webpage and there's links there to buy the book. And that website is AJ Tyler, or AJTYLER, author, AUTHOR.com. The first mystery novel is called Death Insured, and I can hold it up here. So that's Death Insured. And the next book, Debt Discharge, should be out in late this year, early part of next year. And then we keep going from there. My email address is on there. So if people want to learn more about my background, history, or whatever, I respond to every email. I don't always do it right away, but I do respond to every email. I think my phone number may even be on there. And if you leave a message, I will either call you back, text you back, or email you back if you have a question. I love talking to people about the book. I don't mind criticism. If someone says, hey, this was very contrived, this was too simple, this was too complex.
AJ,
If we don't take criticism constructively, we're not doing things right.
wow. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure. Yeah, AJ, this has been a rich and inspiring conversation. Thank you for taking us through your journey from boardrooms to bookshelf and for showing us how every season of your life can bring new opportunity. To my listener, if you like to dive into AJ's latest thriller, Death Insured, you can find it in Amazon. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep telling your stories. It's really a pleasure once again having you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here. And to all your followers, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to include the link you make reference of on the show notes, so that my audience could actually reach out to you directly via there and get your resources and do business with you easily.
Yes.
Yeah, thank